The mushrooms in his hair pulsed weakly, as if they too were exhausted. Lynn watched him struggle a moment longer before sighing theatrically. "All right, I suppose I've been a bit cruel." She pulled another green pill from her pocket. "Here, this will help with recovery." "More magic pills?" Ren asked. "Nothing magical, just my basic fatigue medicine," she winked. "Can't have my student dying on his second day, right?" As the pill's effect spread through his body, Lynn helped him complete the last exercises. The pain didn't disappear completely, but at least now he could move without wanting to scream. Lynn heard the bell. "Just in time," she said. "Time for battle class." "Can't I take a break?" Ren asked. "After I gave you a pill?" She dragged him toward the main field. "Besides, today is special. Core training for everyone." The main field was already full when they arrived. Yang watched as students organized themselves in rows. "After yesterday's evaluations," he announced, "it's clear most need basic strength work. Powerful beasts are useless without a solid foundation." The exercises that followed were similar to those Lynn had made him do, but Ren was already exhausted before starting. While others started fresh, he had 2 training sessions under his belt. It wasn't that he couldn't do it, he was working triple. "Patinder," Yang called when Ren failed another exercise. "Was yesterday's victory luck after all?" More laughter. But Ren noticed something in Yang's voice. It wasn't mockery, it was a test. "No, Professor." He stood up, legs shaking. "I'm just working harder than the rest." "Harder?" Jin sneered from his row. "Is that what you call being pathetic?" "Continue," Yang ordered.
As class progressed, Ren kept pace through pure determination. Lin was right. If he wanted to compete at his best, he needed to work harder than everyone else. His spore gave him knowledge, but the body to use it, that he would have to earn. The mushrooms in his hair pulsed stronger, as if approving his resolution. The laughter and mockery continued, but now they felt distant, irrelevant. It didn't matter what they said. They only saw the present. He was building his future, one aching muscle at a time. "Wasn't so bad," Lin smiled as students left the training field. "You just need to build more endurance." Ren, still panting, looked at her incredulously. "Oh, and about mornings," Lin began collecting training equipment. "Since a certain professor gave you free time, we'll continue with the routine. But," she raised a finger at Ren's horrified expression, "you can dedicate afternoons to collecting crystals." "Really?" Ren asked. "Of course," she said. "We'll have night training, but it'll be lighter, just to maintain the improvement pace." Her playful smile returned. "And I always have more recovery pills." Ren didn't know whether to feel relieved or worried, though the promise of another pill at day's end was tempting. May's history class proved surprisingly basic. While the professor explained the formation of the first cities and their relationship with low mana concentration zones, Ren found he already knew most of the material. His old father had liked to tell him all sorts of things. The first cities were established in areas where mana was low enough to keep powerful beasts away, May explained. "That's why our city is where it is. The mana here isn't enough to maintain even iron-rank beasts without cultivation. And that's why the ruins under the academy are so interesting," Ren thought while his mushrooms pulsed. A place with dense mana under a naturally mana-poor zone. Finally came the crystals gathering class. Song handed out their mining equipment, small but sturdy picks, basic mana detectors, and special bags for crystals. "Ren," Min called him as they headed to the caves. "Liu taught us some tricks yesterday. Want us to show you?" "Crystals near the surface usually form specific patterns," explained Taro as they descended. "Liu says you have to look for lines that cross at 60-degree angles. He also taught us to distinguish between mature and premature crystals," added Min, pointing to a vein in the wall. "See how the color is more intense in the center? That means it's ready for extraction." Ren watched, fascinated. The knowledge flowing through his mushrooms confirmed what they were saying, but added details. How the crystal's arrangement indicated their purity, how mana lines converged at specific points. And most importantly, Taro lowered his voice, he showed us how to avoid unstable zones. Some tunnels look safe, but... A distant cracking sound emphasized his words. Liu says accidents are common among overeager novices, Min shuddered. That's why it's better to work in groups, at least at first. Ren wasn't too worried about that. With the right knowledge, even these surface veins could be more productive than they appeared. Shall we start here? He suggested, pointing to a spot where mana lines subtly intersected. As they began working, Ren couldn't help but smile. Between Lin's brutal training and gathering with his companions, maybe this new rhythm of life wouldn't be so bad. Though his muscles immediately protested when lifting the pick, reminding him that the light night training was still to come. A while later, the boys gained confidence to disperse and dig in deeper places. At 50 meters below the entrance, Ren examined the tunnel wall attentively. Despite it being his first day mining, his movements were surprisingly precise. Another one? Min watched in disbelief as Ren extracted a good-sized crystal. That's the 5th in half an hour. Are you sure you hadn't mined before? Taro set down his pick, frustrated. We were supposed to have the advantage from the extra time yesterday with Liu. It's just observation. Ren pointed to a pattern in the rock. See how the lines cross here? Where energy converges like this, there are usually crystals behind. How do you know all that? Min narrowed his eyes. I can't see anything you're talking about. It's cheating to have so much knowledge. You know pretty strange things, like knowing Kai's scale defects, added Taro, though he smiled saying it. Footsteps interrupted them. Klein Goldcrest passed nearby, his golden lion manifesting in brilliant fur covering his arms. As always, he was heading toward where Luna worked. Luna was in the deepest section of the allowed zone, her shadow wolf making the darkest veins glow with a spectral radiance. Unlike most who worked in groups, she mined alone, each movement precise and elegant, even in this mundane task. It's almost unfair, Min murmured as they watched her work. Her wolf can detect mana concentrations we can't even see. It's more than that, Ren observed, the mushrooms in his hair pulsing while analyzing her technique. Look how she strikes at specific angles. She doesn't waste a single movement. Luna! Klein's voice echoed in the tunnel. I found an exceptional vein over here. If you want, we could... I'm busy, Luna's sharp response echoed from the darkness. How pathetic. Jin's voice came from another tunnel above Ren's. The Goldcrest heir begging for attention again? Klein turned furious. Shut up. I don't want to talk to someone with a mediocre beast like yours. Enough. Luna's cold voice cut the tension. Some of us are trying to work. Both retreated, exchanging murderous glances. As I was saying, Ren continued once they'd gone, there are patterns in how mana forms. Crystals are usually found where... Look out! A small avalanche of rocks fell near them. Jin smiled from the upper level. Oops, how clumsy of me. His smile turned cruel. Is there a problem? Min stepped forward, his water snake materializing. Not for now, Jin shrugged. Just make sure to look up while you work. You never know when there might be another accident. When Jin left, Taro picked up his pick with trembling hands. Maybe we should find another section. No, Ren studied the wall. This vein is too good to abandon. When Jin disappeared through the upper tunnel, Ren went back to examining the vein they were working. There's something else that worries me, he began while extracting another crystal. Have you noticed how some tunnels up there had fewer crystals than yesterday? Now that you mention it, Taro observed the upper walls. The areas where Liu taught us yesterday are almost empty. Mana takes time to regenerate veins, explained Ren. That's why most focus on intensive mining at the start of the year. By the time crystals form again after the holidays, Most will move on to focus on other classes soon. How long do we have? Asked Min. A month? Maybe 2 before it becomes significantly harder to find good crystals? Ren stored another crystal in his bag. That's why we need to take advantage of every moment now.
Wait, that's not the end.